Hey everyone, Chris here from Midwest Coaster Fans. Hope you enjoyed our first YouTube podcast series last Monday. So this is going to be a weekly series, and we're going to have more members of our team of Midwest Coaster Fans joining in the weeks to come. But we're trying to give you guys content and things to think about, things to listen to, and just things to watch. So if you haven't yet, this is going to be a podcast, so it's going to be audio only. So if you wanted to, you could just listen, hook it up to your car stereo, house, Bluetooth, or whatever you want to do. Please be sure to subscribe, though, to our YouTube channel. Share this content so we could start a discussion going. And if you have any questions that you want us to answer on our YouTube podcast episodes, just go ahead and comment below. And we will be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have and talk about it on our future shows here on Midwest Coaster Fans. So with that being said, we know more information what's going on after the press conference yesterday released by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. And it's recommended that everybody stays inside and continues this self-quarantine period until April 30th, 2020. And we already know that most parks have already made announcements, such as SeaWorld Entertainment has already laid off 90% of their staff and furloughed them. What that means is that they still have a job, and when things turn back to normal, they will get their job back. So it's not like they're completely laid off and they're not ever going to get a job back. And then 10% of the staff is probably upper management and probably those that take care of all the animals. Because we did get emails here on Midwest Coaster Fans talking about, from SeaWorld, talking about that they were going to continue to take care of the animals, and obviously we already knew that. So that's probably the 10% of the staff that's going to remain full-time. And then we got other information in that Disney has announced an official date, and this is according to our friends over at Disney Unplugged, which, if you don't know anything about Disney Unplugged, they own the largest travel agency in reference to, like, Disney, and it's called Dreams Unlimited Travel, and they've been given the go to go ahead and start selling tickets, packages, and other things starting June 1st, 2020. So we do know that information, and we do know that's very factual, that June 1st, 2020 is when Disney is going to start opening up its dates again for travel. And we kind of already knew this, so we kind of figured April 19th, obviously, is when Disney's going to pay their staff up until. But after April 19th, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to furlough their staff, because from what I'm seeing, it looks like Disney might be losing like $40 million a day just in Disney World alone. So if this park stays closed for 2 months, just think about how much money Disney is losing alone. And I've talked to other people in the industry, friends over at Buckeye Coasters and other pages, and it's looking like we all agree that June is probably going to be the month where a lot of the parks reopen. So what does that mean? I mean, obviously the federal government already passed a $2.4 trillion stimulus package. And what that stimulus package allows companies to do is furlough their employees. And then those employees would be paid 100% of their salary as long as they claim unemployment, up to 4 months. And obviously this isn't going to last for 4 months. Hopefully it doesn't last for 4 months. Because if this lasts for 4 months, you're going to see a lot of places that are going to have a hard, more difficult time reopening than where they're at already. Now, we've heard a statement from Cedar Fair. They said mid-April, or mid-May was the email that we got from them. Six Flags has sent out emails, and they're allowing you to suspend your payments if you have a monthly payment. I got an email also from Universal, and they're allowing their customers that are on the flex payments to do the same. I think Disney's allowing them to do the same as well. And then your season passes will be extended out by the X amount of days that the parks are closed, obviously because they're annual passes. The only place I have not heard from, and SeaWorld's even, I don't know if SeaWorld's doing it, suspending the passes or not. I haven't heard anything from them yet, or Cedar Fair. I imagine they're going to release statements soon about it. Me personally, I'm going to continue making the payments just because it's easier that way. And then I don't have to worry about paying X amount of months. Unless I'm not able to do it 1 month due to, my work having a reduction, just like many people probably have. But here on Midwest Coaster Fans, we're just looking for different ways to get to you guys in terms of, like, we're starting our History of Roller Coaster series again. Our abandoned theme park videos. We're just looking for extra content to give you guys and provide to you guys. And then, of course, the other day, we were able to get information that on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, at 4 p.m., they're going to vote on the next possible Indiana beach owner. So that's some good news coming out of this whole pandemic that's going on across the country. Now, I originally said I didn't think the parks were going to reopen until May. Obviously, now we're pushing that to probably the last week of May into June. There's a possibility that parks might try to open up Memorial Day weekend, and that we might see some changes, some normalcy that weekend. But it all depends on how people feel. I know here in Indianapolis, from where we're located at, world famous race known as the Indianapolis 500 was pushed all the way till August. So, and right now, like many other cities, there's curfews, and you can only buy non-essential, or you can only buy essential products. So I know that grocery stores are also talking about possibly only doing pickup only, and I kind of agree with that. But let's get back to the theme park. So we know that Disney's officially announced June 1st. They possibly could open up earlier than June 1st, but that's official, which means that Universal's probably going to release something soon. SeaWorld's probably going to release something soon. We'll see something probably from Cedar Fair, Six Flags, and also all the other small parks across the country. Now, as we get that information, if you don't follow our Facebook page, please do so, because our Facebook page is going to release all this news going on across the country. Now, I had to conduct business last Monday in Florida, which I was only there for one overnight. But I was able to grab footage of the empty parks, and let me tell you, it is kind of weird seeing parks that are normally jam-packed with people during the day in Orlando that are now empty. So I understand the parks furloughing employees. I know it stinks for those employees, but at least you're getting paid because of this stimulus bill. Now, if we didn't get that bill passed, then that would be another thing. But if you're getting 100% of your paycheck, at least you could have money to survive on during this whole shutdown period. And for many of us, other channels that are creators on YouTube or even on Facebook, Instagram, places like that, we're also having difficulty trying to grab content for you guys to keep you guys occupied and busy while you guys are at home self-quarantining. And yes, the weather is nice outside and everything like that. So if you want to go walk, I think they're still allowing that in most areas. Just be cautious and maintain 6 feet of distance. Try not to be around other family members for this time being that are not immediate family members. That's what we're given the directive. But a lot of health professionals are telling people to stay home anyways. And I have friends who work in the ER here, and they're seeing a lot of new patients that have severe respiratory issues. So be cautious and understand that this is something serious. We all don't like it. It's causing a lot of us to have to change our lives and stuff like that. But like I was always taught in the military, you just have to overcome and over-adapt to different situations. We were always taught the motto in the Army to hurry up and wait. So, I'm used to changes. Changes stink. But understand the government and all these professionals aren't recommending these things to make our lives a living hell, They're doing these to protect us because we don't want everybody in this country to be infected with this, and then the next thing you know, the whole country doesn't open up for, till September, October. And then most parks will have to cancel their 2020 season, and they're going to see record drops in earnings. So if we follow the guidelines and the parks don't open back up until the end of May into June, that's perfectly okay with me, because at least I know when these parks open back up that they're going to have new cleaning standards. But also, I think people are going to appreciate the parks more so than what they did last year. All I know is that after that was released yesterday for April 30th, that doesn't give parks a huge turnaround to get everything back in order. I think a lot of the corporations were told this information before the public were. So I think all the major theme park corporations already knew that April 30th was happening. And I think that's the reason for Disney releasing their June 1st thing. And I think it's a great idea. This allows Disney and other parks. And I use Disney as a reference because if Disney shuts down and they're staying shut down, a lot of parks are probably going to stay shut down. It's just Disney never shuts down. As many of you know, Disney stays open 365 days a year. So I use them as an example because that's the park that everybody uses as an example if they should shut down or not. Because if you notice, once Disney shut down that one Thursday and said Sunday was their last operating day, there was like a domino effect. You had Universal release a statement right away, SeaWorld, and all these other parks released statements. And like I said before, we were invited to a few media events that have been postponed until further notice. And then obviously these roller coasters that you have, here's another thing. The reason why I think it's going to be June for a lot of parks, because the ones that have new roller coasters or even existing coasters, they still have to run all these test runs that has to be approved by their state inspection agency. And then once that's approved, then they go ahead and they usually have their media events or soft openings, stuff like that. But hopefully this doesn't delay projects for 2021 and further. But if it does, don't complain about it. It's not their fault. Obviously, they have to look at their earnings. It's a business. So if you run a business and you have a loss in earnings, it's going to be harder for you to invest in updates to your business. So you have to understand from their point, obviously, if they already paid for these investments, they're still going to happen. Disney World is celebrating its 50th anniversary next year. Well, Magic Kingdom is. That's the park celebrating its 50th. But Disney World in general opened up in 1972. 1971. I don't know why I always say 1972. So 1971, Disney World opened up. Magic Kingdom, I mean. So they're celebrating their 50th anniversary next year. And then also, in 2022, Kings Island is celebrating their 50th anniversary. And many other parks are going to continue that. If you didn't know, obviously, Cedar Point and Sandusky, Ohio is celebrating their 150th anniversary this year. It's one of the oldest amusement parks in the country. And many of you may know that. If you don't know that, it's important information to know. We have a lot of parks that are turning 50 this upcoming decade. So definitely look for that. But we know that SeaWorld had a lot of investments in different roller coasters for 2021 that we knew about. We just didn't know the details about them. But we knew that Busch Gardens was going to add in Williamsburg a new coaster for 2021. We know that Busch Gardens Tampa was going to add possibly a new flat ride because we know land's being cleared. And then there's land being cleared for another possible attraction, possibly in 2022. Cedar Fair has not announced any coasters for 2021 yet. But we imagine that there's going to be a couple parks that may get them. And we'll know more details about that as the year progresses. Then the SeaWorld parks, from what we understand, we're all going to get investments, either flat rides or coasters. Six Flags, obviously, we don't know about yet because they haven't announced any 2021 projects. But obviously, they're going to make investments because that's what they do every year. And then you have smaller parks that are going to make their investments as well. We'll all pull through this together. The theme parks will be fine. But like I said, I imagine that most parks will open up at the end of May into June. And the reason for that, like I just stated, is ride testing, crew training, and getting most of their staff back together to start training again. And they have to get prepared. They're going to have new cleaning techniques that they're going to use before the park opens and during park operations, and then when the park closes. So cleaning is going to be important. Even as we see a down spike in this virus infecting people in this country, you have to understand they're still going to have to maintain certain standards to keep this virus intact. So things are going to change. Just be aware of the changes. Most parks are going to announce these changes. So this isn't going to be like news to you. As soon as you go to the park, you're not going to know about it. Like I said, if you follow us on Facebook, we're going to list any type of changes that are going to impact you. So as we get news, you'll know about it. I have the link in the description below. So if you're wondering how to get to our Facebook page, the link's in the description below. Also, we have a Patreon account. This Patreon account is going to allow you to be a part of a lot of different things, include exclusive content, contest giveaways. And if you're part of the higher tiers, you'll be listed as a producer on our YouTube videos. This money given and donated by you puts you in an exclusive group, but also it gives us some extra funds to work with to provide extra content. And we're working our best to provide you content all year long. So it's kind of complicated when we have 2 months now. So it's now March 30th, right? We possibly have 2 more months of basically having to generate our own content. Luckily, we had a backup plan before this virus was even announced. But usually we use these videos during our downtime, which is usually during our winter months when all the parks kind of shut down after December. But we're going to do our best to provide you guys content. We know the amusement parks and the theme parks are going to do their best to provide us information and update us as more information becomes readily available. But I just wanted to share with you some information just so you guys are well aware of why, even if this thing ends April 30th, why amusement parks and theme parks still have to wait till the end of May into June to open back up. And it has nothing to do with waiting out the virus. It has to do with retraining staff, getting the rides and operations prepared. Then you're going to have the media events that are still going to take place. So there's going to be a lot of different things. And I imagine during those media events, channels and pages are probably going to be presented with information to share to our followers and our viewers. So look for that information as well for many of us. And with that being said, this is Chris signing off for Midwest Coaster Fans. This concludes the end of episode 2 of our podcast. Please look for more content here on Midwest Coaster Fans in the future, and have a wonderful rest of your week.